Hello, welcome to Canvas, the Niger-Delta Roundtable, where I discuss the future of this region blessed with hydrocarbon resources. Every week, as like this week, we're giving time to reflecting on topics that are relevant to the development of the Niger Delta and her people. Now, this episode, we are continuing with that tradition. I'm here, and we're focusing once again on how to take this region to a more promising future. The podcast is sponsored by the operator of the NNPC, Renaissance Total Energies AENR, Renaissance Africa Energy Company Limited, headquartered in Port Harcourt. Thank you for joining. I'm Adidayo Ilushakin. This episode, we're considering the topic When Care Can't Wait. A medical emergency changes everything in a matter of hours. Families can find themselves navigating impossible choices, searching for treatment, seeking answers, and trying to raise money fast enough to save a life. For many people, the greatest challenge isn't necessarily finding medical care, it's finding a way to pay for it before time runs out. And in moments of crisis, communities often rally around those in need. Friends share fundraising posts. Family members make calls. Appeals flood social media. But alongside generosity comes uncertainty. How do donors know a case is genuine? How do families access help quickly? And how do we build trust into a system powered by urgency? Today's conversation explores a growing intersection between healthcare, technology, compassion, and accountability. It takes an important question. Can innovation help create future where financial barriers no longer stand between patients and life-saving care? Again, today, our topic on Canvas is When Care Can't Wait. And my guest is Kizito Don-Pedro. Kizito Don-Pedro is a product designer, software developer, and entrepreneur with over 6 years of experience building human centered digital solutions. He is the founder of Andrea Medical Crowdfunding Platform, as well as HRASA, a software and HR company, and co founder of Rarewox, a software and design firm. Kizito, hi, welcome to Canvas in our Delta Roundtable.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Can I call you Kiz?
Yeah, sure you can.
What of Kizzy?
Lots of American call me cheesy, but I prefer keys.
Just Kiz, right?
Keys is
You
fine.
don't like Kizzy?
Not really.
No, what's wrong with Kizzy?
Feels too short.
And Kiz is not short. I like Kiz are shorter than Kizzy.
Most of my friends call me Tammy though.
Tammy.
Tammy is much better.
Oh,
That's
cool.
my middle name, Tammy.
Oh, great. All right. Kiz, Tammy, Don-Pedro, good to have you again.
Thank you so much.
Let's start from the very beginning, right? Let's just do a definition for now.
Okay.
What is Andrea?
Okay, so Andrea is a medical crowdfunding platform, right, built on the foundation of transparency, verification, and authenticity. It's built to connect willing donors to verified patients.
All right. As far as definitions go, that was crisp, curt, precise, straight to the point, and explanatory as well.
Okay.
So that takes me to the next question. What problem were you trying to solve when you created or founded Andrea?
Okay, so Andrea was born out of a personal experience that I and my family had. Can I tell a story?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay.
Stories are good.
All right, so,
Everyone loves a good story. This is a good story, right?
yeah, it is.
All right, go ahead. Let me adjust my seat. Go ahead.
All right, so
Yeah.
well, the story dates back to 2023. Basically, my family experienced an emergency back then. My dad fell ill, came down with anemia, I think August 2023, and that anemia led to severe heart complications. All right. So we took him to the hospital and we were told that we're meant to raise a certain amount of money, which was really huge at that time. I think like 10 million there, about over and above. All right. So we did what every loving family would do. We tried to raise funds. We called friends, we called families, we called everyone that we could reach out to. All right. Funds were coming in, but unfortunately didn't come on time. And in a matter of a week thereabout, he passed away. All right. So that was our first experience with medical emergency. Now, fast forward 2 years later, 2025, exactly August still, 2 years later, on August still. So my dad passed on the 23rd of August, 2023, and August 2025, 20th, my sister gave birth to a preterm child at just 6 months old. And so the doctor told us that we're meant to keep her in the ICU for 3 more months if she was to make it and survive. So we started again the entire cycle of calling friends, calling family, trying to raise funds for this, my niece. All right. It was a very, very daunting experience. But thanks be to God, we were able to raise the funds and keep her in the ICU for 3 months. And she was perfectly well when she came out. Her name is Andrea. Right? Andrea means courageous. Chiefly because it's not easy, or it takes courage for people to share their vulnerabilities with you. All right. And we believe that the entire experience made us courageous and bold about seeking help and reaching out. And in that experience, we got to understand that this is not an isolated experience. Right? Lots of families in Nigeria are experiencing the same thing with no iota of hope or lifeline when in that situation. I did a bit of research. We found out that 70% of Nigerians pay for hospital bills out of their pockets. And a lot of them go into poverty due to that medical emergency that are catering for, if at all they can. So seeing that, we realized that we needed a solution for this particular problem in Nigeria, in Africa as a whole.
That was a good story. I am sorry about your dad, though.
Sorry.
Even though the story did end somewhat positively with Andrea's experience. So why do you think that medical crowdfunding needs to be reimagined in Nigeria? I mean, we already have some kind of system ongoing. You described what your sister,
Yeah.
and I don't know if you have other siblings, what you all did when you had your dad, the experience with your dad,
Yeah.
and the experience with Andrea ended on a more positive note. But that happened. We didn't have Andrea then,
No, we did.
but you still were able to crowdfund. And maybe that wasn't a structured situation, but we have other crowdfunding platforms, if I may use that term. There's this really popular one. It's not Nigerian. For the life of me, I was talking to Donald just a while before we started
GoFundMe.
recording. Yeah?
GoFundMe.
Yeah, that's the one. GoFundMe. And we probably have others that I've never heard of before as well. So, why did you feel the need to reimagine medical crowdfunding in Nigeria?
Okay, so first of all, the problem is a Nigerian and African demographical problem. GoFundMe wasn't built for our kind of situation, our kind of system, right? And secondly, for the way I and my family raised fundings for the situation was, it was an informal process. Informal meaning that we went through social media, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, and that's how many Nigerians are doing it right now. Right? The problem that raises is the fact that there's no accountability, there's no way to verify those cases are legit, and then donors are not really confident of the fact that this case is true. So Andrea has come to give that sense of trustworthiness, that sense of authenticity and transparency that gives donors confidence that they can give to any case on our platform. Now, I'm sure you've heard of cases before now. Can I call it like Miss Blessing that said she had cancer, right? But
No,
it was found.
let's not mention individuals,
Okay, so
especially and the reason I'm saying that is some of these cases, the ones that went sideways,
sideways.
may be subject of litigation.
Okay.
Some of them, I don't know who the person you're mentioning is, but it's possible actually. So let's not. Yeah.
Okay,
For that reason only.
All right. So,
Yeah, so-
all right. So some cases, some people say they have certain diseases, right? But you later find out that it's not true. That they just put up that front to raise money for their individual needs, right? So we've seen those kind of things happen in the medical crowdfunding sphere in Nigeria, in Africa as a whole. So why it has to be reimagined is that we have to bring in transparency, authenticity, and the verification process into the forefront so that people can have trust again in the medical crowdfunding sector in Nigeria and Africa as a whole.
All right. So yes, I mean, we do have such cases, or we may have such cases when people lie. Let's use a very simple term, or try to defraud people, basically. and lying that they have a medical condition when they may not, or even actually don't have a medical condition. But we do, and as far as trustworthiness is concerned and verification,
Yeah.
we do have foundations that handle things like this. Some of them may be faith-based organizations, and some of them not necessarily so, and offer similar services already. Um, why Andrea? How also is Andrea different from those? Because you mentioned earlier that GoFundMe was not designed for our system.
Yeah.
Maybe so, but some of these other outfits I just alluded to came up from within us.
Yeah. Okay, so Andrea is not like every other crowdfunding platform. It's specifically medical based for health. Right. So if you go to GoFundMe, you'll find people raising funds for their business, find people raising funds for school, for different ideas. But Andrea is need based, is focused on medicals, is focused on health, so that the people that need medical assistance don't get drowned in an ocean of every other category or needs out there. Right. And other crowdfunding platforms, they don't go as far as trying to verify cases. Many of them don't do that. We do not do that. But we pride ourselves in verifying cases because we are trying to build trust and transparency in the fundraising platform in Nigeria.
Okay, we'll come to your processes in a moment in terms of verification and other things that form your processes at Andrea. But allow me play devil's advocate just for a minute.
Okay.
So you described how people, have issues and their health challenges or complications, either personal or the family member, and many times people have to pay out of pocket to raise the money themselves. Insurance could take care of that. I mean, if you have, I mean, this day and age, it's 2026, right? In
Yes.
case you're watching this in the future, this was recorded 2026. So you will think that in 2026,
but-
everyone
yeah, but-
could or should have health insurance.
Yeah, you would think so, but not many people do in
So,
Nigeria.
so isn't it their fault that they don't have a health insurance?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. One thing I can say is that not everyone has the knowledge about health insurance. Secondly, not everyone is opportune to find facilities that can give them that benefit. And thirdly, I would say that health insurance requires you to pay a monthly premium. Exactly. So not everyone can afford that at the moment.
Mm. And if I may counter my own argument, by the way,
Yeah.
Health insurance comes at different levels, just like any other insurance. I mean, there are health complications that may not be covered
Yes.
by your health
Health
insurance because the higher you want to go or the more coverage you want, the higher your premiums.
Sure.
And, the higher the premiums, some people may not be able to afford higher premiums
Very true.
compared to others. So even if you have health insurance, there could be some health complication that
Yes.
you will still be required to pay out of pocket.
Very true.
Yeah. So, in your experience so far, what have you learned about healthcare access in Nigeria through this journey?
Access to healthcare is not only dependent on hospitals. Many times, the defining factor of whether someone survives an emergency or not is based on availability of funds, whether they're able to pay for that medical bill on time or not. Secondly, the access to knowledge. Okay, a patient is looking for assistance to take care of A, B, and C emergency. They may not necessarily know that there's a platform that can help them get that support, or prevention NGO is giving free treatments for those kind of situations. So a lot of factors involved, right? Those are some of the challenges that we've seen so far. Of course, there's also the language barrier, which we believe that technology can solve to a great extent. Right? So all of these things can be curbed or assisted in little ways by innovations.
Crowdfunding is always a good thing. And even though we have an English term for it now, I don't know how recent or how long ago that expression crowdfunding was coined, but the essence of it is something that's been with us for as long as I can possibly imagine. I imagine long before I was even born, people have come together to help out family members or help out people who are in need, which for all intents and purposes is crowdfunding, really. However, over time, trust has eroded, or trust has been eroded because of the activities or actions of certain individuals. So when we come up with crowdfunding platforms like Andrea, how do we incorporate, how do we bring back trust so that people who might be prone to donating are not turned away because they feel, oh, that person I helped last time, or I saw this story online. about this person who did it, who did it. How do we deal with that challenge?
So, in building a crowdfunding platform like Andrea, one of the first things we considered is this: your question exactly. How do we bring trust back to the forefront so that donors can have confidence in giving to certain um, cases or patients, right? And we just realized that the answer is transparency. By transparency, we mean that creating a system where the donors are aware of how we're verifying these cases. And that's why we don't necessarily work only with individuals, we work with hospitals. So once a donor is able to know that, okay, whatever I'm giving is going to a hospital to ensure that this patient or this person is getting treated, they can be aware that, okay, it's not an individual that's receiving my generosity. It's a hospital, a system that will ensure that the individual gets treated. So our model of operation tries to eliminate finances going to individuals, which for many years these individuals have been siphoning or creating the fraudulent activities we've seen so far, right? Because if finance goes to a hospital, they're obligated to treat that patient regardless of the individual saying, I don't want that treatment anymore. I just want the money. It's not possible for them to get the money. All right. So we're dealing with institutes, we're not dealing with individuals. So the answer to your question is creating a transparent system that donors can trust. And not only do we do with hospitals, we also show testimonials. We show the videos. We take videos and show videos of us giving the money to the hospitals, and then the patients also receiving the treatments. Right. So the donors can see how much has been given on the platform, who has given so far, how much has been raised, and then you can also see the claims, and by claims I mean the medical documents that the hospitals have concerning the patients. So, for instance, a patient says he has malaria or he has diabetes or hepatitis B, we get the documents, right? Of course, we get consent from the patient before we do that. We get the documents and then we put it on the platform. So if you're looking at a case on the platform, you're seeing those supporting documents as well. You're seeing how much is needed. Where does it go to? You're seeing who has donated before you. And then when the money is being disbursed, you are also in the know as well. You see videos of the disbursement being done, and you also see the patients in the scenario as well. So we try to capture all of these things so that the donors can have confidence in our system. Of course, it may not be a perfect system right now, but we're working towards it. No system is perfect, but we're putting things in place so that donors can have at least 90% confidence that what they are doing or that generosity is going towards what they intend for it to achieve. That is the safety and the safety and the greater good outcome of the patients, basically.
I think this speaks to your process at Andrea, and we'll come to that in a moment. I'd like you to do a step by step how it works, but
Okay.
once again, we'll come to that. But I have to ask this, and I love your response. It's a very simple response, really, transparency. But when you dig deep, you find that it's not as simple as it sounds. However, why was transparency, or why did transparency form a a major design principle for Andrea? Is there a story to that? Is there something when you were building Andrea and you thought, okay, transparency, what informed that?
Okay, so what informed the transparency model was this. We had looked at where we are, first of all, Nigeria and Africa. We had seen that one of the greatest hindrance to donors giving to certain cases or giving basically online is because of the historical trend of people defrauding individuals online, claiming that they're not feeling fine and then receiving donations. Then also personally, because when we were trying to raise funds for my dad and also Andrea the baby, right? People kept on asking, like, is this real? Because we created like graphic designs and we shared on communities, but some people didn't necessarily give to us because they felt that it may not be true. Right? Some would have to call us to confirm. So we knew that that was actually a major cue that transparency was needed. People needed to have confidence and trust that a case is actually legit and it's true. That's what informed our decision on being big on transparency.
Mm. How important is verification in protecting both donors and patients?
Okay, so verification is really important because we believe that being able to verify a case and then showing a donor that you verified the case gives them confidence to give generously, and also gives them this peace of mind that their generous donation is going to impact in their life. Then for the patient arm of things, it also gives them confidence that since my case is verified or my case has been legitimized, right, they can expect to receive donations from generous donors. And not just that, but also it also goes a long way of helping the fundraising ecosystem in Nigeria, right, to bring it back to its esteemed or pristine position. No longer People no longer look at that crowdfunding. I'm not talking about Andrea now. I'm talking about as a whole. If the crowdfunding sector would add verification to their processes, right, it would to a long extent help the crowdfunding ecosystem in Nigeria and Africa as a whole, so that people no longer look at us as we're trying to use people's pain to make gain. Right. So that's how verification process is really, really important to the crowdfunding sector and also to Andrea as well.
So let's go back to that question, or let's go to that question that I did mention earlier that we're going to come to. I'd like you to describe in as few words as possible your processes at Andrea. What's your process like?
Okay, so our process is simple and straightforward. Like I made mention, we work with hospitals. Right. Right now, we're working in connection with Insulin Foundation, which has given us access to UPTH. So the first thing that a person does if he needs his case to be on our platform is first communicate with the hospitals. Then the hospital put the case on the platform.
Any hospital?
Not any hospital. Right now.
Okay.
Right now, right, since we're just starting, right now we're starting with 2 hospitals, UPTH and BMH. We're working on getting a strong ground in BMH as of now. But right now, UPTH. So they communicate with UPTH, right? Then they put the case on our platform. Then, since it's coming from UPTH, we are sure that.
Okay, hold on. So they communicate with, for example, in this case, UPTH.
Yes.
So UPTH then gets in touch with you.
With us, yes.
So they don't reach you directly.
Not reach you directly.
Okay, go ahead.
But on the other hand, you can also reach us on our web application. There's a form there, right? So you can fill the form then and get submitted to us through the dashboard.
Okay, so a person can reach Andrea directly.
Directly, yes.
Okay, how does that happen?
So on our web platform, andrea8.com, you just go to individuals, you see a form, you fill the form and submit. Then we get back to you within 3 days.
Okay, fine. So either you go to the hospital directly, for now UPTH or BMH, but let's go UPTH for this example, or reach Andrea directly on the website, and then what happens next?
Okay, and then we have what's called hospital liaison managers, right? They go to the hospitals, they verify that these patients are actually legit. They try to see them, try to talk with the doctors and know what is needed for that particular case. Then once they verify the case, we now come and activate it on our platform. Then everyone can see it live.
That's it, basically.
That's it, basically.
Oh, okay. So you mentioned something significant a while ago, that the payments do not go to individuals.
Yes.
Rather, the payments go to the institutions, in this case, the hospitals. How does that work? I know that there are challenges with that. We've had cases in the past where so-called famous, or maybe they were actually even famous, or so-called influencers go online to try to crowdfund for individuals, and then there's this big mess online afterwards with the alleged sick person, or maybe they were actually indeed sick, and the influencer who was trying to crowdfund for them, and then they're going at each other as to where's the money. I didn't see the money. You used me. Or you're an ungrateful person. I knew where you were when I saw you, when I picked you up from nowhere, and all of that huge, humongous, unfortunate mess. But in this case, the money goes to the hospitals directly.
Yeah.
So they then do what they want with it?
No, they treat the patients based on his situation. So let's say he needs a surgery, right? They then carry out the surgical procedures based on the finances that's been given.
Okay.
Yeah.
So okay, for example, let's say a medical condition requires hypothetically #1,000,000.
Yeah.
So is that cap stated at the beginning, such that when you reach that cap and then funding can stop or donations can stop, or is it open-ended? Let's just see how it goes.
No, it's not open. It caps at the amount needed for that procedure, 1 million, and then that's it.
Okay, all right. It is Canvas and Niger-Delta Roundtable. I've got Kizito Don-Pedro, founder of Andrea Care, in the studio, a medical crowdfunding platform. We're discussing the topic when care can't wait, and sometimes it just can't. We go for a break. When we return, the conversation will continue. Do please stay with us.
In the heart of our journey, where the sun touches the earth and the wind whispers through the trees, a new chapter unfolds. A chapter where energy illuminates more than just bulbs. It lights up minds. A chapter of unity, a coming together with a common goal to energize futures and illuminating lives. In classrooms, young dreams evolve, inspired by the promise of a brighter tomorrow fueled by available energy. Small businesses flourish, becoming seeds of prosperity. Energy that empowers and is catalyst for growth and change. The future is energy. So, let's light up the path to a sustainable future together. Energy for you, me, and the world at large. Energy for people and planet. We are Renaissance.
And welcome back. Still Canvas, the Niger-Delta Roundtable, brought to you by Renaissance. I'm Dio. I've got Kizito Don-Pedro here, the founder of Andrea Care. Good to have you here once again.
Likewise. Good to be here.
Technology. It's ruling everything these days. I mean, whatever you do, if it doesn't have some tech component to it, you probably aren't started yet. If you probably aren't doing it right. And I may have come. Okay, I'm not going to say that. It's going to be a bit embarrassing, but maybe I'll say it nonetheless. There's this one of these food ordering apps. I mean, I've ordered food before, but I just downloaded one of them, one of the more popular ones recently, and I used it, and I was so impressed at how, obviously very late to the party, I know. But I used it just a couple of days ago. And I was like, okay, this is nice, and that's for food. We're selling food, and it was amala that I ordered. What you would traditionally you had to go to one Mama Yabo somewhere to go sit and have and I ordered amala using this app, and it was delivered. The packaging was good, the food was good. It was as tasty as if I went to Yabo's place directly, so it was pretty cool. Everything has tech these days.
Very true.
How can tech, or how is tech helping to bridge the gap in terms of healthcare and access to healthcare and all of that, considering what you've done with Andrea?
Okay, so I would like to say that technology is a great equalizer. All right. It's able to take a simple idea and multiply it, make it accessible to as many people as possible. Right. So in terms of the healthcare sector, when you look at industries like the hospitals, look at individuals, look at NGOs, I would say that with technology, you're able to connect all of these stakeholders together. Hospitals, NGOs, individuals, and donors. And I think that's one of the things that Andrea is actually doing. They're using technology basically to link NGOs, hospitals, donors, and patients that need assistance. So technology being the great equalizer, what would usually take people 5 days, 5 years to achieve, we can do it in a matter of seconds due to technology. Instead of a patient walking down to leaving his house to go to an NGO in like 10 minutes away, he can do it from the comfort of his home, try to gain assistance from his home, from his phone, from his laptop. And then again, it also gives accessibility to knowledge, because knowledge is very key in this kind of setting, this kind of environment, right? With knowledge, you can save lives, right? Someone may or may not know that his help is 2 doors away, but with technology, he can be enlightened.
Yeah. So once again, I'd like to reference the food app I used recently. But that app is not just for food, and you can do groceries, you can do all kinds of things on it. And maybe I just can't get the taste of them out of my head. However, even with that, and the use of tech, there was a report in one of the national TV news channels recently that I saw a couple of weeks ago, and someone recorded a video of a delivery guy. One of this was a motorcycle with the delivery box mounted on the rear seat. He stopped by a road, sat down, box was opened. I think he was going to deliver packs of small chops somewhere, and he was opening each of the packs, removing one or two items, and he was eating.
Wow.
Sat down where?
Wow.
Spread his legs. It was, well, seemingly comfortable, opening each pack. He didn't know somebody was recording him. And the name of the outfit where the chops came from was displayed as well.
that's-
So they even had to do some kind of, did some effort to launder the image at the time. It was pretty embarrassing for the outfit, of course. And it didn't help the industry. The apps, the delivery thingy and all of that, it wasn't good at all. So that's the challenge with that, So what challenges have you faced with incorporating tech into providing the services, help medical or healthcare crowdfunding that Andrea Care does?
Okay, so I'll say the first problem we faced was basically enlightening people about Andrea, enlightening people that we're not fraudulent, because I feel like lots of people perceive anything that has to do with Nigeria and online with money is tied to Yahoo or is tied to some kind of fraudulent activities. And given the fact that we're young as well, that has posed some kind of challenge. And aside that, there's also the aspect of technological know-how, right? I made mention that people can go to our website and put up an application, but some people do not know how to navigate through the internet, right? And that has been a challenge, one, because we get calls directly, like, how do I go through A, B, and C? You now have to start doing it for them, or directing them how to do it, or sending something and meet them to help them or assist them, those kind of things. So technological know-how is also a challenge as well. Then also trust. I think that's the first thing I mentioned, trust, right? But that basically challenge we face so far.
There has been a huge rise in medical crowdfunding in Nigeria recently and not so recently. Before the proliferation of social media and all of that, even I remember some years ago, it was not unusual to be watching some of our local TV stations. There was one in particular that focused on that or did a lot of that.
Yeah.
And you would have, maybe someone displayed in a hospital bed saying they have some terminal condition and they need some millions of naira. Please donate. So you have a bank account displayed on the screen and all of that. And now, of course, we have social media. There's been a rise in that. And now we're bringing tech into it. That suggests something. There is a growing need for medical crowdfunding. What does that tell you about the realities of healthcare delivery and access to healthcare in Nigeria?
Okay, so I think first of all, it tells me that there are still lots of vulnerable families out there that need assistance from, I'll say, the governments, say from also people who are capable of doing such. And secondly, it also tells me that there are generous people out there. Sorry, there are generous people out there who are willing to do good. Because some of the cases that you've mentioned, right, they have been funded. Not all, but some of them.
Yeah.
Right? So it gives me that understanding that Nigerians are people who naturally like to do good. They just need a verified platform to do that.
Do you believe that healthcare support should be viewed as a collective responsibility? Should it be my business? Should I be concerned that that other person is unable to access healthcare? And if I don't do something about it, does that make me a bad person?
Yeah, so I believe that healthcare is a collective issue.
It's not my sickness, it's their sickness. I didn't get sick, they got sick. It's not my fault they got sick.
Yeah,
is
so
it?
something I've seen so far, right, is that a person's illness doesn't just affect them, right? It affects, for instance, let's use a child. It affects the parents. Probably has to sell his land or sell off his properties to fund the situation. Probably a child may have to leave school, right? A business fails, and overall it affects the economy. You may not necessarily see it as affecting you, but it affects the nation as a whole in one way or the other.
How? Because I still got my car, I still got my business, my kids are good, they're going to school. I mean, yeah, I feel for them, but once again, we're okay. We're good in my family. We're good.
Yes, but if you look at it as we are one Nigerian, when an emergency hits a family, it doesn't just affect a single person. It affects the parents. It affects the children. It affects the community. Let me give a scenario. Let's say someone's child isn't feeling fine or has a medical emergency. He probably has to sell his property if he doesn't have the money, right? Uh, Probably one of the children stops going to school or a business runs down. That in turn affects those who are employed in that business, right? So it's not just affecting a single person, it's affecting a community at large, right? We have to look at it as um, look at it from the greater picture, right? If a single cell is affected in the body, it affects the entire body, regardless of how you see it. There are some people, I don't know if you've watched these Nigerian movies where someone's mother is not feeling fine, doesn't have money, all of a sudden he carries out gun to go and steal. But they catch him and you don't know why he's doing what he's doing behind the scenes. So these are just scenarios that you can put in place and see playing out in different Nigerians' lives. People are trying to meet ends meet. People are trying to help their loved ones that are not feeling fine, and so they go to the extreme of doing one thing or the other, which in turn affects someone else.
Or the robbery could be successful, and I could be the one that was robbed.
That was dropped exactly.
So if someone in my community is unable to afford healthcare, somewhere or another, I am impacted.
Yes, you are. Knowingly or unknowingly.
What impact do you hope Andrea will have in the next, let's say, 5 to 10 years?
We hope that by then we should have been able to give medical access to over 1,000 people by that time. We also hope Andrea would be one of the most trusted crowdfunding platform in Africa.
All right. How long how long has Andrea Care existed for?
It's about 6 months now.
6 months. Oh, still very much in the early stages.
Very much. Very much.
Okay, so there is the question then another question that arises for me is you've talked about how you're crowdfunding for people to sort their medical needs. You're the founder of Andrea. I mean, you have needs also.
Yeah.
And I think it's instructive to mention that we met at the Port Harcourt Tech Expo.
Yes, we did.
And that meeting is what's led to this conversation we're having. Right, the last edition that was held. When was it again? Earlier, about a month ago. Was it 2 months ago?
About a month ago.
A month ago.
Yeah.
Or thereabouts. Okay, great. And that's what's led to recording this episode now. So it wasn't just you that was in the booth. There were other persons. So I mean, you're building tech. It costs money to build tech. You
Yes,
have
it
to
does.
improve on that tech.
Yes.
You probably have support staff, whatever it is. What's the need for you, and how do you? I mean,
Oh, okay. What's in it for me? So Andrea basically it's a standalone.
do you charge? Just to put
As
that-
well getting
okay,
there.
just
As well
want
getting
to
there,
throw
actually.
it out there.
As well
Okay.
getting there. So we do not charge. There's no maintenance fee on Andrea, solely because we've been through the experience, and we don't want people to feel like we are making gain out of their profit. It isn't good at all. Right? We're doing it solely because we care for people and we're trying to impact lives. Now, how do I sustain myself? Like the earlier introduction, I run my own business, a tech company. We serve organizations, individuals, and government as well. Build softwares for them. So with that, that's how I sustain myself. And part of my profit goes into Andrea, to running Andrea, goes into paying staff, goes into social media management, and all the likes.
So Andrea doesn't make any money at all.
No, doesn't.
Okay, I went on the website and I saw some part about donation. Is that just the people who require medical services? Andrea doesn't get any kind of.
Okay, so we also receive supports, grants from individuals, companies, organizations that want to assist us in this life-saving endeavor or creating impact in the society as well. And we also have what is called CSR, our CSR partnership arm, that is corporate responsibility, that gives companies the opportunity to also partner with us and give certain grants for us to do outreaches, because we also do outreaches as well. Just last month, we did a free medical outreach at Choba, right, with some students, nursing students, with 20 volunteers. They treat us for malaria, did tests for malaria, and give free drugs as well. And next week, we're also doing another one with RCG. We're targeting 20 plus beneficiaries. This is for HIV, hepatitis A, B, and C. So by next week, from Wednesday to Saturday, we'll be doing that outreach as well.
All right, that's cool. Two more questions, I think, and then we wrap it up. What would success look like for you for Andrea Care, for your platform?
Success.
I mean, when you were building all of this, you had something in mind. What is that one sin? Or maybe a couple of sins that would happen and you say, oh, yes, I did it. I achieved what I thought. I am inevitable. Oh, scratch that. Go on.
All right, to build a self-sufficient platform that is able to maintain itself and then help people regardless of me being part of it. So by that I mean we don't no longer have to depend on donors or grants for Andrea to run and for Andrea to impact life. An automated system that just keeps on giving to the society, to the community of people that need help without depending on external forces anymore.
There's one thing you'd like a listener or viewer of this episode to go away with. Just one thing. What is that?
I would want everyone listening to it comes from the question you asked. You asked that if someone close to you isn't feeling fine, does it impact you? Right? So I want everyone to go home with this, knowing that we are a brother's keeper. Right? We can't neglect the next man. That post or that fundraising you're seeing out there, the numbers is not just naira, it's not just figures. It's someone's life. It's someone's future. So if you can look beyond the numbers, look beyond the graphics, and know that it's someone you're impacting, you're creating a future for someone else, I think that will go a long way.
And on that note, to wrap up today's edition of Canvas, the Niger-Delta Roundtable, brought to you by Renaissance Africa Energy Company, we discussed when care can't wait. Question is, what happens? And that's where the likes of Andrea Care come in. The founder has been my guest on this edition, Kizito Don-Pedro. Thank you for your brilliance and what you're bringing to the table to help lots of Nigerians out there who health care can't wait for. And thank you for your time and wish you and your team the very best.
Thank you for having me.
And remember to share this episode with others via whatever platform or means that you can. Somebody out there just might need the information from this episode and our other episodes as well. Thanks for watching. I'm Dio Lushakin, and bye for now.